Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Speedcars Down Under. On the panel tonight, we've got Paul Charlesworth back after a week away after he had to get called in work last week. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, mate. How are you? Hello, Trav.
Boys, how are you?
Yeah, good. And also with us is Travis Mills from Victoria. Welcome, Travis. Special guest tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Good to catch up with you boys, mate. I've watched most of your episodes, and you're doing a really good job. Good job promoting the class.
Oh, cheers, mate. We're trying to do the best we can. Sometimes it's a bit up, sometimes it's a bit down, but yeah, we push along, that's for sure.
You're having a crack.
Excellent, man. Thank you. We might as well get straight into it, Travis. The PSW series coming up, starting up on the 28th of December. How's numbers looking, and where are we at with the series at the moment?
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of cheeky advertising here. So you got repping the tea. Look, we're probably at this stage. What are we? Early September. We're a little bit low on expression of interest. So we did a press release last week. So we got a cut-off date of this coming Friday, and we'll try and round up some more of the teams that might have been just sort of working out what they're still going to do for the season. You know, it is only early September, so you know sometimes teams don't quite work out what they want to do maybe till the back half of September. But yeah, we sort of need to get a fairly good gauge on what sort of numbers we're going to have as far as a contracted sense, because you know of how we need to set up the series and whatnot. So hopefully we can round up some interest and go again.
Awesome as.
Yeah, good. It's a shame to actually hear that there's like low numbers, you know, because like the Speedcars, like we really need to keep that series under our belt, don't we?
Oh look, yeah, I think so. I mean, when we got PSW going again, myself, Leo, and Andy, it was about promoting Speedcars and trying to put them out there, trying to get as much exposure and good exposure as we could. You know, create a product that, you know, I think trying to get all the best guys in Australia too, and really showcase, you know, what speedcar racing is all about, and trying to do it as professionally as we could. You know, I think we've done a good job of that with, you know, getting Shane Collins and, you know, Wayne Baines and Drake York from America, and you know we're pretty much, you know, every cent that PSW makes goes back into PSW. It's not about making money, it's about just trying to help hopefully elevate speedcar racing in Australia. So you know I think it's got a pretty important part in the landscape for Australian speedcars, but unfortunately we can put all the work in, the background work, but you know we need the teams across Australia to support it. Otherwise, it'll die if they don't.
Yeah. And I will admit, like yourself, Andy, and Leroy, like I've dealt with all three of us, and, you know, people on the outside, they don't know, like you guys do an amazing job, you know, with also what else goes on in your own lives as well, you know. So, yeah, I'll take my hat off to all three of us. Yeah,
look, we're just three passionate blokes that have been around speed cars and speedway our whole life, and, we've all got families and businesses and full-time jobs and all that, you know, and Kate's been a massive part too. You know, she probably gets lost in it, but the amount of work she's put in for the last 2 years has been massive, and it's a group effort, and we just do it the best we can. You know, we learn every year too. You know, we learn that we can get things better, or maybe things that we tried to implement didn't quite work, and so it's for us it's ever evolving, and we just try and improve the product each year. You know, it's about giving back to the teams and the drivers as much as we can, with trying to share the pay structure out as fair as we can, and give everyone something to come and race for.
There's over $50,000 worth of prize money up available. So is that correct, Travis? I think I've read that correctly.
Yeah.
So
that's combined prize money.
That's a fair paycheck for a lot of teams around Australia, isn't it?
Oh, look, it's decent money, but you know the cars are expensive to run nowadays. So it's, you know, we need to have the money there and to be able to give back into the team so they can help cover some costs, because you know it is expensive to do now. So I'd love to see that 50 grand a lot higher, but it's PSW has also always been about stepping, trying to step it up each year and grow it. So it doesn't happen over 1 or 2 years. It's gonna take a little bit longer than that.
And we've got some great tracks. We've got Borderline round 1, Lang, is that correct? Lang Speedway, I think I pronounced that right. Warrnambool, and then finish up at Simpson. So got some great venues to race at as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think the tracks like Mount Gambier and Warrnambool and Simpson are just proven to be great tracks, and they're great speed car tracks. Lang's a really unique track, and I'm really looking forward to going there. I think taking PSW there with 25 odd cars will be amazing. It's a really nice shaped track, good banking. I went there last year with my young bloke Caleb to race a compact for a friend of ours, and the track was great. It was wide. They were up on the wall. It'll be an eye opener for sure to have a field of 20 speed cars in the A-Main getting around that joint. It's something to look forward to.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you miss it? Do you, Trav? You're still fairly young, do you miss sort of racing? But I know as a dad.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, you do. I do. I think this season just gone, I actually probably missed it more than the season before, when I sort of had the first season off, and I was just driven to help Caleb and try and put as much as I could into him. But then into this season, we got the new motor out of the States, the SR11, and put that in the car, and it's probably the best package I think we've ever put together. And I hang shit on Caleb all the time that I've probably put the best car together I've ever had for you to drive, you cheeky little.
So how much younger is he than you, Travis?
Caleb?
Yeah.
Caleb's 23, I'm 45.
Yeah,
so.
Right, so you got a few years on him.
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah. We had him young, but I was 23, I think, when we had the twins. Kate was 22 or 21, 22, I think. So,
and
pretty young, but they're getting on a bit now too. They're 23, so.
Yeah, right. And how did it all begin, Travis? Like, I know your dad was high up in the world of speed cars, but how did it all begin for you and your family?
Yeah, well, it was just following Dad around. Dad raced for over 25, 30 years. Originally, he started in sedans. In about 1961 is when the whole thing started for the Mills family, and he raced at Tracy's and Dalesford and all those country tracks, and then went into speed cars sort of down the track. Raced at Brooklyn, him and Noddy Bishop and the Power Boys and Ian Fly Lewis and Mark Brown were all, battling it out every Saturday night or every second Saturday night they used to run at Brooklyn. And that's sort of my first memory of speed, going away with Dad or with Dad racing and, running around the track afterwards, picking up tear-offs and washing them off and giving them back to Dad. And I think Dad just got them and threw them in the bin. He wasn't getting it all started there. And I just, Dad raced for a number of years for various car owners, and I was just joined at his hip. I went everywhere with him. I sort of, probably when I was a teenager, gave up a lot of teenage stuff you do with your mates, because I was just always wanted to go racing with Dad. And and then it finally came. I started pretty late. I didn't start racing speed cars till I was 19 or 20.
Yep.
Because back, showing my age, but back when I started there was no real junior classes, so we didn't sort of kick off until I was about 19, I think. Yeah,
cool. But Victoria's had some really class drivers too, though. Like you said, Brownie, Lewis, your dad, the Bishops, the Powers. They've always had
back in the 80s and 90s it was tough, and the Speed Bowl had 25 cars pretty much every second Saturday night, so they had really good numbers, and it was competitive, and they used to run in front of really good crowds too, because back then there wasn't much else to do on a Saturday night. So
well, that's the other thing too, isn't it? Like, just crowd numbers don't seem to be what they used to be either. No. Like I was up at the Speedway on down there. Like I was sort of watching also. But they're bugger all people, you know. I mean, they'll probably get a shitload more this weekend for the chariots. But yeah, actually, young Casey O'Connell done all right actually in the wingless sprints.
He did, yeah. I did watch. I did watch a bit of the racing up there over the weekend, and I actually did think the same thing, that the crowds did look low on TV. That didn't look like there was a whole lot of people there, which. Yeah, look, it's sad. Yeah, maybe it's a combination of the times too. People just haven't got the money to take their family to the Speedway now. You know, not only Speedway, maybe other sporting events. Yeah, I'm not sure. It is sad. It's definitely not what it used to be.
I think a lot has to do with it now that you can actually sit at home and watch it. I think that's a big thing. Like, the tracks aren't losing money; they're still getting the money, but they're getting it through different avenues to what we were back in, you know, in the '80s, where we didn't have the broadcast slot we do now. I think that has a lot to do with it. I work for Clay Review down here doing the Tassie scene, and it hasn't hurt our crowds down here, but it's certainly adding an extra income to the tracks. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, nowadays it's hard enough for the tracks, isn't it, too? So any form of income they can get to help them keep afloat, because, you know, there's also a lot of tracks start, you know, closing down. We've seen that, you know, over the last 5 or so years. So, yeah, you know, everyone's just trying to hang on and pay the bills, aren't they, and keep it viable.
What do you think of Talma, Travis? I haven't seen the Speedcars on there yet, but I can't wait to see them go around Talma.
Oh yeah, I think if Speedcars run there, Caleb's getting kicked out of the seat that night. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I think it's going to be super fast for Speedcars. I don't think you want to have a crash there, that's for sure. But yeah, it'd be really good to get a run over there. Yeah, maybe sometime this year with the South Australian and Vic Club, and just try, you know, feel it out, see how it races for us, and. Yeah, well, it was definitely spectacular when the sprint cars were there, that's for sure. So I can imagine what speed cars are going to be like around it. Yeah, I think the whole concept of, you know, them tipping in the amount of money they have, and the amount of work they've done to get that joint going again, and how they've done it. You know, everyone's got to get behind it and support it, because, you know, as we said, speedways like that will die if they don't get the support from classes and the public going there to watch. Do you think we have too many divisions in Australia? Do you think that could be an issue? Yeah, 100%. I've been a believer of that for, I reckon, since I was younger. I could never get my head around, you know, why we've got, I don't know, it seems like 20 sedan classes, you know, and to the people sitting on the hill, they look at one sedan class, they look at the next one come out, they look the same. You know, but there's 6 cars in that class and 8 cars in that. Like, why not combine them and put on some good fields? Yeah, I agree. I think it's I think one thing we have got better at is junior divisions and creating tiers where, you know, kids can come in early and then step through from age category and work their way up. That's definitely been a positive shift. And I still think there's a lot of classes that we could, you know, that could be probably combined or merged and then see better numbers at. Yep, no, totally agree there, totally agree. And you have a bit to do with football too, don't you, Travis? Sorry? You have a bit to do with AFL football too, I've been told. Through my young bloke. Yeah, my young bloke AJ, the smarter twin that doesn't waste money on race cars. He's right into his AFL football, and has been doing a bit with the Carlton VFL side for a couple of years. So yeah, we're sort of involved a bit with the Echuca Football Club, which is our home football club, and yeah, we just love supporting AJ. He's a good little football player, or not little anymore, but he's doing good things. He's had a bit of a health battle recently, but he'll hopefully get back going again. And he got back and played a couple of games for Echuca only a couple of weeks ago, which was awesome to see. So we love it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome news. Yeah. So no, he's done well. He's worked his bum off, and got back to doing what he loves. Footy's he's a true love. He absolutely works his butt off for it.
Carlton need a few good players too, I've been told. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's it. They need all the help they can get at the moment.
Well, they've lost a couple of good players in the drafts this year, I think. So they need to regroup now. So yeah, he might be the new multi-million-dollar footballer for you, Travis.
Well, let's see how we can go, mate. He's having a crack anyway.
So talking back to Speedcars, what's the plans for? I gather you have a lot to do with Caleb's team. I haven't really done all my research, but what's the plans for the team this year, Travis?
We're sort of. I think at the moment we're just going to pick and choose. We'll probably do similar to last year. I think last year we done maybe 18 meetings that were mainly sort of Vic, South Australia. We went up and done the ACT title at Canberra. So yeah, we'll probably do a bit of the same. We'll probably go and do all the South Australian stuff. Mainly to support the club over there, keep the numbers hopefully healthy over there, and the track Murray Bridge is probably one of my favourite tracks that I've ever raced on. So we love going over there and racing, and we'll do obviously the main stuff in Vic, and then try and venture north, sort of in the back half of the year.
Yeah, that's the beauty of I think the Victorian and the South Australian club. Like they really back each other, which is good. And plus they're close anyway, so it's not that sort of far.
No, that's it, and we need to support each other to survive. Obviously both clubs have over the years had their battles with low car numbers. We had low car counts in Vic, probably 8 or 10 years ago, and South Australia would come over and support us with numbers. And then, we've, I think, done the same thing with supporting over there with their numbers. So, we need to do it. Hopefully we can see I'd love to be able to see each state really grow and get to that, they can have that 14, 16 cars each night, and then you're a bit less reliant on the interstaters coming over. But, hopefully one day we get there.
And how do you find the promoters, Travis? Are they really acceptance for the speed car division around Australia, or do you have issues getting them to race there? Or
no, I think generally, I think most promoters want to run speed cars because I think most people agree that speed cars put on great racing. Probably the one thing I think that hurts speed cars a little bit, and I get it, speed cars don't draw a crowd, but we're running for less money, now than what we were. For example, when Ken Jenkins was running Super Series, I believe he was getting about $8,000 a night from the tracks. We're 10 years later and we're getting $6,000 off the tracks, for most of our meetings. So it's hard because the costs have skyrocketed. You're trying to put more money back into the teams as far as prize money payouts, but the promoters are forking out less money. But I get that. I know it's a tough gig for them to make money, and unfortunately speed cars are not the greatest at drawing a crowd. So
that's funny because years ago, like back in the early days, like they'd have 35,000 on a Wednesday night at Sydney Showgrounds watching speed cars.
Yeah, I think I guess back to what we said before. Back then that was what you did on a Saturday night. Where now there's too much other stuff to do. You can go and sit in an indoor stadium and watch a rugby or a footy match instead of sitting out in the cold at a speedway getting dust thrown at your face. I guess maybe a lot of people have decided to do that. So.
Actually, talking about indoor stadiums, have you ever had any thoughts about taking Caleb to the Chili Bowl?
We've spoken about it, and I think down the track we'll definitely look at doing it. I think it's a bucket list thing. I never sort of got to do it, but I, for some reason I never really had a big thing to go and do it. I went and done New Zealand back in 2019, and still probably one of the greatest experiences I've had racing, going over there and just doing that whole international series. We're actually going to go to the Chili Bowl this year. We're going to go over, just fly over and watch. Obviously Zoe's having a run, so we're going to go over and support her and Caden and just experience it for the first year, and then maybe we might try and get Caleb into a car in the next couple of years. So
yeah, that's good. Well, I was sort of wondering, because like obviously talking, with Andy and that and Zoe, like I think it'd be pretty cool to watch. She done all right, I think, last year, with the campaign and all that.
Yeah, no, look, Zoe's a great little peddler, and I think she excelled when went over there. To go over there and sort of be running the pace that she did straight up. Just a shame she had that crash late in the piece. It just would have been great to see her finish that off. But the amount of racing she's doing, she's just going to keep getting better and better. I'd probably love to get Caleb over to New Zealand, to be honest, before Chili Bowl. I think that's definitely on the bucket list, for us in the next couple of years.
Oh, you look at
there's two spots that I'd love to go, like New Zealand for one. And I mean, mate, for a small place, they love their motorsport, especially midget racing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's big over there. It's you go over there, and when we went over there, it's just so weird that midgets are the main event, and sprint cars are down here. And it's the opposite over here, and to be honest, that's the way it should be. But
I'm biased.
Slightly biased.
Do you find a big difference between Australian drivers to New Zealand drivers to the American drivers? Are they all completely different, or are they all pretty much similar?
I think I find the New Zealand drivers are pretty aggressive. They're probably a lot more aggressive than Australian drivers. I think just the competition over there is fierce. Over here, realistically, we go to most of our meetings, and there might be 6 or 8 really hot drivers that are realistically contending for the win each night. When you go over there, there's 20, 25 that are all, and they're just they're not afraid to drive in the side of you to move you, or it's pretty full on over there. And I know Zoe's found that out, the race meeting she's done over there. But the good thing about Zoe, she's not afraid to give it back. So
no, that's it.
She's all right.
She's got a big calendar coming up. I spoke to her last week in the show, and I looked at her calendar. I went, "Wow, you have not got time for anything else." That's a lot of meetings that she's going to be doing. And for such a small little pocket rocket, she does a good job, I think.
Oh, she does. Yeah, I think Andy needs to buy a jet just to fly them around to get everywhere.
Look out, she'll be asking Andy for one now. That's the end of that. So what else do you do with yourself, Travis? What do you do for a living?
I'm in commercial construction, so I'm a site manager for a company that they're pretty much most of the part around Australia, but I work out of the Melbourne sort of division. So we do all kinds of commercial projects, from hospitals to defence work to aged care facilities to schools, all kinds of stuff. So I'm actually down in Warrnambool at the moment doing a big healthcare project, doing a big redevelopment of a hospital down here. So that keeps me pretty busy, pretty decent hours doing that. And and then realistically on weekends through the winter, it's pretty much going to support AJ with his footy. Love my golf, so try and get out and have a hit of golf as much as possible. I'm terrible at it, but I still love it. Love getting out for a walk and having a chat with mates and whatever. So
I love me golf. I don't get out enough either. It annoys me a bit. I for how much I play, I don't play a hell of a lot, but I should be a lot better than what I am. But anyway, I enjoy it. Have a bit of a laugh. That's why have a beer at the end of it. That's why I like daylight saving so much down here in Tassie, because you got time after 2 to go and have a round of golf.
That's it. Good. Yep, same here. When it sort of gets to spring and you've got daylight savings, sneak out, for a quick 9 holes and get home before it's dark.
Yep. And of all the Speedcar stuff that you do, is there anything that you'd ever like to change with Speedcars in Australia?
I'd like to find a way, and I think there is ways of trying to control the costs a little bit. I think we're all aware of it. All classes are expensive, and I think I know I was an advocate for a tyre rule last year. I was pretty keen to look at doing it for PSW, and we held off because Speedcars Australia were going to look at bringing it in, which they since have, which is great. And I think any consumables, tyres are the biggest one, obviously, for us and any class that you go through. So just trying to, I think, just lower the costs a bit on our nightly running costs is, I think, really important. It's not going to lower the price of motors and all that stuff that's sort of got out of control. But if we can sort of limit or minimise the costs on what we can control, I think, I think that's positive. Hopefully.
Yep. It's like I think it's a good thing with the tyre control, but engines, it doesn't really matter. Like even if you develop an engine. Like even the Hondas, it's still, at the end of the day, it still costs you big money, doesn't it? Like, I've spoken to so many people, and that's, like the development side of things and stuff like that. Like, I think it's just so hard to keep that funding down when it comes to trying to put a good engine package together, which is, it's such a shame because, like back when I was a kid growing up, you had Sigma motors, Volkswagens, rotaries, Warren Eakins was running an old Alpha, and that was the beauty of engines back in that day. I think Volvos were another engine as well.
Yep. The old boy ran a Volvo for a while. Look, unfortunately, it's gone from that point of where you could pull a motor out of a car, modify it a bit, do a bit of work, and put it in a speed car and sort of be pretty competitive. Unfortunately. The purpose-built motors have, for quite a while now, realistically dominated the class. And, I think there's, from what I've heard and a few guys I know of that are starting to explore more with those experimental motors, whether it be the Hondas or Subaru motors and stuff like that. So, I think I think that'll start to come back into it. I think people will be, at the end of the day, if you can have a play with one of those motors and it might owe you 30 grand in the car running, 20 grand, 30 grand, it's, and it can be competitive, I think that'll be a good shift for the sport. It just give guys a really good alternative that they don't have to go and spend, whatever, 60, 80, 100,000 on a motor.
Exactly,
Well, it's always amazed me. You pay a few $1,000s for a chassis, and it's everything that bolts onto it. It's what's the expensive part. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people say to me, "Oh, the chassis be worth a lot of money in these, sprint car or speed car," but they're not actually worth that much money compared to what everything else that bolts onto them.
Yeah, that's right. It's shocks nowadays. You buy a full adjustable shock package, and the diffs, everything. Most things for speed cars, funnily enough, is more expensive than sprint car gear, and it's half the size. It's it doesn't make sense, but I guess it's the demand is there for sprint cars, and the volume that they turn over is there, so they can afford to bring the costs down a bit on them. But it's a challenge. To be honest, it worries me with where we're going to be in 10 or 20 years with the way the trajectory it's heading on, and you've it makes you wonder, geez, if these things keep going upwards every year in costs, is there going to be anyone left that can afford to do it?
Yeah, that's it. Now, I hate to say it, but mate, that's when you might see micro sprints. Not micro sprints. What are they called? The ones that Zoe won the Australian title on. They're non-winged micro. That's them. That's when they're going to take off a lot more, aren't they? Because they're going to be a cheaper cost.
Well,
I think they will, but.
Wingless sprints as well.
Yeah.
You look at people like H.C. O'Connell, Jack McCarthy. Those guys are doing double duties. Even even Buddha. Like Tom Payette.
Wingless are in the same path as a lot of other divisions too. They're running out of motors. You can't find a VN Buick motor anymore. I know I've spoken to a couple of blokes down here, and they're using blocks that they've actually repaired because they can't find one. So they're going to have to do something with a couple of these divisions here shortly. It's like Formula 500s are the same. They don't make 600cc motors no more. So what are they going to do there? You know, like it just keeps
they just need to transition to something else. Maybe all the wingless guys need to sell up and come Speedcar racing.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm with you, Travis.
Well, we need the Dan King shots, and the Jermaine Ramseys, and the Menzes and all those guys. You need to see them back in midgets again.
Yeah. That's it. It always changes, doesn't it? And new people come in, new people go out of the sport. Yeah, maybe the micro thing. It could be a good thing for Speedcars. It could be. If we set it up right, it could be that stepping stone, for young kids to get into, and then, micro's just a junior speed car. It's they race very similar, so it might be something that people start to look at as to, okay, we go micro, and then when the kid's old enough or they feel like it, they can transition into a compact speed car even, and then a speed car.
I think the junior divisions have done a favour for Speedway in Australia. Like you looked in the 80s and the early 90s, it was more the middle-aged person that was racing and winning races and top of the line. Now you've got young fellas, 17, 18, that are blowing everyone off the track. So I think the junior divisions have done their process and are doing the process really well to introduce younger drivers into the bigger categories, but it's the bigger categories when they come out of juniors and go into them that they go, oh, look at the cost difference. What are we going to do? Do you think that stops them going to other divisions and they just stop at junior divisions and never race again?
I think if they're in a junior division and they want to keep going, they'll find a class to then transition to, whether it's a wingless sprint or a Formula 500 or whatever it might be. The best country that does how they've set up their classes is New Zealand. You look at how they set it up from quarter midgets to TQs to F2s to midgets. That's I'd love to see that out here where there's just a clear stepping stone and path for people that want to run open wheel classes for them to sort of move up. A lot of people get to compact speed cars and can't quite afford to go to speed cars, or they get to speed cars and they can't afford to go to sprint cars. Well, everyone races within the confines of their budget and what they can afford.
Yeah. And sponsors these days are so hard to get, especially down in Tassie, for instance. We're only a little island down here, and sponsors are very hard to get for drivers nowadays down this way. So a lot of it comes out of their own pocket. So hats off to them drivers out there that do it out of their own pocket, because it is not easy to do at all. It's a shame that we haven't got a lot more sponsors that are getting involved with Speedway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, look, it's unfortunately, I totally agree. We find that with our own race program, it just every year seems to get harder and harder to get the support. But you've got to put yourself out there and have a crack. I think the way I look at it is that you're not going to get sponsorship if you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs. You got to get out there and just build. And I say to Caleb, it's more about building connections and relationships, sponsorship, than just going and handing in a proposal and going, oh yeah, I do this and I'm after $2,000. I think probably 95% of my sponsorship that I've ever had within our team has been through people I know, family, friends, people I've just got to know through business or whatever it might be. It's just building those relationships and connections and,
it's networking, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Being able to sell yourself as a driver and a team. Looking good as a team too sells a lot of, you look at Bo Doyle from WA. If there was a best presented car and team at the Australian title this year, I think that team should have won it. They were so well presented, and for a sponsor to walk or a business owner to walk through the pits and see how well presented the team is and how well the car's presented, I think that encourages better sponsors to go to teams like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it also at the end of the year for the next year, if you can go to a sponsor and show them that, you know, your team apparel and your sponsors on that apparel and how well you present it, and that, you know, you can show that you're going to give them exposure through, you know, all these different elements of what you do, then surely you're going to have a better chance of that repeat sponsorship, you know, over the following years.
Yeah, and cars and teams have come such a long way in such a short time. It's good to see teams looking professional now, you know, compared to what 30 years ago. They, you know, everyone just wore a tank top and shorts and thongs in the pits. Nowadays, you can't get away with that. You've got to look after yourself, don't you? You know? Yeah.
Actually, I've got a classic photo of Bobby Holt, who lives here in Katherine, in a book, and you sort of see him. I think can't remember what speedway it was, the old one though. Like, and he's in an old leather cap, a t-shirt, and a pair of shorts, and you can quite clearly see him in the midget, you know.
Yeah, right.
They done it pretty hard, those boys back then.
Yeah, that's it. There was probably no rules back then.
And safety's come such a long way as well, you know. Look at the safety nowadays. We're all in containment seats, and I think these containment seats are the best thing since Speedway was ever introduced. They save a lot of people's injuries. Like, it's great to see them in most divisions now.
Yep, definitely.
You know, like, it's good to see safety being such a big issue too now, because, you know, we don't want our drivers to get injured. And these speed cars, if for all the people out there, Travis, they are quite a nasty thing when they bin themselves, don't they?
Oh yeah, that's it. And that's it. Yeah, the safety's moved a long way, but it's had to, because, you know, the cars are faster, and, you know, put a really close racing, and there's no room for error. So you know, when you do go over in one, you know, whether it's a speed car or any class, you want to be pretty safely packed into that thing.
Yeah.
So what engine package and what car package you use running this year, Travis?
So we've got a spike chassis. We've been running spike chassis for probably most of my speed car career. So we love the spikes, and we're running an Mopar SR11 or Stanton SR11, which we've only ran for last season. Was our first season with that. So we've always run sort of Chev motors, GRDs. So Zoe's got my old motor that I used to run.
Yep.
But yeah, we just sort of wanted to look at going in a bit of a different direction and go down a bit of a different path. I've really liked the SR11s for a few years now, and they've proven in America that they can, you know, mix it with, you know, the best motors being the Toyotas. So yeah, we're wrapped with our package. We've sort of fine tuned it, and yeah, I think we got a good shock package and everything else. So yeah, hopefully it holds the young bloke in good stead for this season.
Not thinking about getting back in there yourself for just a run this year, Travis, or do you reckon you can keep it out?
Yeah. I definitely, that's definitely a chance. I actually jumped in the car last year before we started racing. There was a bit of a practice day out at Warrnambool, so I was pretty keen to feel out the new motor. So I just jumped in and did 6 laps, and the motor felt really good. Yeah, got to scratch the itch, and I definitely could have done more laps. The track that day actually wasn't overly great. It was a little bit sort of ruddy, and it wasn't a nice smooth Warrnambool where you could just, you know, plough full ball into each turn. So you had to be a bit delicate on the throttle, but it was still good fun. I enjoyed it, but I was I was also happy to let Caleb back in and just support him and try and get him going.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. He's done an amazing job too. I think he done a stellar job last year.
Yeah, I think look, he easily the best year that he's had. He's had a pretty rough. He definitely hasn't had a conventional start to his career. You know, we tried to run 2 cars, and unfortunately, you know, that sometimes throws up challenges that if you you have motor issues that you just haven't got the funds there to fix it quick enough. So I think in his first 4 years he may have done 25 meetings in total. You know, he didn't do a lot of racing at all, and that was a big thing why I stepped out of it, because I just felt that it was only fair to give him, just put our efforts into one car and get to do some racing, get some consistent racing for him. And I think last year sort of proved that, you know, just with laps, he just got better and better and better as the season went on. Probably had a bit better season than what, you know, we really even aimed for. We actually said at the start of the season we didn't really care about winning a feature. It was just about trying to finish every race so that he can just keep learning. Obviously, you're not learning if you're sitting on the infield, and unfortunately, he'd done more than his fair share of that in the previous years. So we just figured that you know, let's try and finish races, learn, get you comfortable, and and that sort of happened throughout the season. He just felt more and more comfortable, and I think the results sort of started to come.
Yeah, it was definitely advancing. You know, like that's what I noticed with him throughout the whole last season.
Yeah, look, he deserves it. He's worked hard. He works hard in the shed. You know, he's not one of those young blokes that sits on the couch and I'm working on the shed. He does more than his fair share. And I think last year he probably just started to show that bit of real hunger to win a race. And it was just, I was so happy for him to get that first win at Portland after 5 years of trying to win a feature, and to get it on that, you know, against that competition was great. And I was just wrapped for him, because I know that he's just, you know, he hasn't complained about some of the bad luck and whatever but he was about due for some good fortune and to get some results. So.
Do you clash at all, Travis? Both raced Speedway before? No, I want to do it this way. No, I reckon you should do it this way. Does any of that? Oh
yeah, definitely. Like he's we've definitely, we're pretty good now. I think we've sort of just worked out got a pretty good gel going, and it's probably, I think he was the same when I was young, and Dad, when I first started racing, and my dad, set up the car and I just got in it and drove it. And then you get to a point as a driver where you go, no, I want to do this, and my dad's going, you don't know anything, just sit there and drive it. And that same thing was probably happening with me and Caleb, where I probably last season at the start, I thought I had to do everything for him. I thought, okay, you just get in and drive the car and I'll do the setup and do this and do, because for the last 10 years, I've been my own crew chief, essentially. I've done all my own setups, and I wanted to take that burden away from him. I just wanted him to concentrate on driving the car. But what we actually found was that he started to lose confidence because he didn't know where the car was at. Yep. So we about the fifth meeting in last year, we sat down and assessed where we're at. And I could tell he was struggling a bit. We were still trying to work out the new motor, but we sort of come to the conclusion that, hey, you need to actually have a bit more control over the car and the setup, and you just, so we actually flipped it, and I said, all right, you come in from the track and you just tell me what you feel and what you think you want with the car, and we'll do that. And pretty much since we did that, he just started to really improve, and because he knew, he worked a lot on his shocks as far as understanding his shocks, and he was confident to start making adjustments, and he just started to understand and feel the car a lot better and back himself with his own decisions. And at the end of the day, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy just to be in the background and help in any way I can, and just give him the same opportunities that my dad gave me when I was his age.
So I love I'm passionate for Speedcars, mate. I really do.
Yeah, no, it's great to see. We need more people around like you, Travis, that's for sure. Definitely. So when are we going to see...
Oh, look, that's all I know.
Yeah, that's the way. When are we going to see the car out first meeting? Like, have you got a calendar lined up yet? Where is it going to start? Or...
we got a bit of a rough calendar. I think we're aiming to head over to Murray Bridge on the 4th and 5th of October. I think it's the first, it's a double header over there. So we'll go over to there. Back to Avalon the next week, and then I think we might be back over to Murray Bridge in early November, and then we'll go and do the Adelaide deal over there, and then I think there might be pretty much then the big stuff, PSW, Aussie title, all that kind of stuff. Yep.
Cool.
Well, the Aussie title being at Simpson this year, like I suppose a lot of you Victorians will be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Well, I know Caleb is. He absolutely loves Simpson. It's his favourite track. So he's definitely keen. I mean, I love Simpson too. To be honest, that's one of those ones that if I was to come back, that would definitely be the track. I'd be pretty keen to. I've had a fair bit of success there over the years, and it just don't know, got a really good affinity with that joint. So yeah, I don't know. I've still got my old chassis, so I might have to dust it off, try and steal a motor from someone, and get a car together.
Have you raced? I presume you have raced in the same race with each other. Does it get a bit hairy when you're in both same race?
Yeah. Well, we did. We did 2 or 3 years where he was racing and I was racing. So yeah, we've had some good fun in some races. I still remember a night at Warrnambool. I think it was 3 odd years ago. We just put the Sesco Mopar that we borrowed from my father-in-law to get him running in the car, and it was quite a small field. I think there was only 6 or 7 cars there, and I think it was a heat race. I started off the front. He actually got to second from sort of 5th or 6th, and on a restart, he's punting me up the bum, hurrying me up. So it was a good bit of banter in the pits afterwards when he let me know that, hey, that was me behind you, giving you the hurry up. So yeah, it's grouse, mate. I loved racing with him and following him and then passing him, and then he follows me and hopefully picked up on hopefully he learned a bit as well, and yeah, it's definitely pretty awesome to go out there and race on the same track as your son.
Who holds the bragging rights?
No comment.
Oh dear. Excellent. Well, before we go, we've nearly done 45 minutes. I don't think we need to go on much longer. But is there any sponsors, people, or anyone you'd like to thank Travis with the PSW series? And when do entries close?
Yep. So with PSW, the expression of interest closed this coming Friday. So we need to get all the expressions in, basically look at the numbers, and then we start to lock in. We start to send out contracts and sub-regs to all the teams that have expressed interest, and then we're already starting to work through sponsorship, but we've still got to gain some more sponsors. So we've got a proposal that we've got together, and we'll get that out. We've sort of hopefully we'll get most of our sponsors. The man here, Paul, has been a great sponsor of the series, in its 2 years that we've had it running. So, passionate people like you, Paul, that's how it happens. It doesn't happen with going there with no money. So, we need a bit more support, that's for sure. The more support we can get, the more we can just put back into the teams. And even contingency prizes is a good thing. The more little giveaways and products and all that kind of stuff, I feel that you can give back into the teams. It just it just makes it that bit easier and just that bit more rewarding for them to make the effort. A lot of the teams are travelling from all over Australia, aren't they? Tassie and WA, Queensland. It's it's a massive commitment, and we don't sort of lose sight of that fact that it's an expensive exercise for people to come and do 4 nights of racing. So as much as we can try and give back to them, I think it's only a good thing.
And for any sponsors out there that are listening and watching the show tonight, because this doesn't just go on Facebook, goes on everything, get hold of Travis if you want to come in as a sponsor for the event. The event's telecast on Clay-Per-View. You get good exposure with Clay-Per-View. Jared Ash does an awesome job there with Clay-Per-View, exposing as many sponsors as you can and exposing, the sport in general. And get hold of Travis, like I said, and get on board with this series, because I think it's the way of the future for speedcar racing in Australia. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think the exciting thing too with this season series is we've been able to join forces a bit with the Sprint Car Speed Week. So we've got the Mount Gambier round and the Premier rounds of the series are with sprint cars. On the big stage, it's 6,000-8,000 people in the crowd, and so I think that in itself provides really good exposure for teams. You know, that's something that you can go to a sponsor with, prospective sponsor with, and you know, hopefully dangle the carrot to say, hey, you know, we can showcase your name in front of some really good crowds, and hopefully, you know, the teams can sort of do well out of that as well.
Awesome. I hope it goes well, Travis. I really do. I like this series idea. I'm hoping to get over there for at least one of them. Hopefully, it depends on this, our season down here, but I'll soon know shortly when we'll be able to come over. But hopefully, we're going to get over so we can get a bit more televisation of the PSW series, because I reckon it's a great idea. Like
that'd be awesome, mate. Yeah. You be here, Paul? Are you making the trip?
Yes, mate. So I'm definitely coming to the Pro Series. Good. There's a rumour getting around, though, right, that I'm bringing a girlfriend there. So
I've seen this girlfriend, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where the rumour started, Andrew Sharp.
Should we put like
a Sharpie stitched you up good and proper?
Should we put,
he has. Like, yeah, no, me and Sharpie do a lot of banter, you know, amongst ourselves. So, but I'm going to come down there and give him a hand. Obviously, those guys got the Beretta. So I think, you know, like, I think Brett's going to be there, like Michael Conway's going to be there, like Nick. I think Ashik Rodriguez. Now, there's another young guy who's sort of coming up in leaps and bounds as well. I think they've got a Beretta as well, so I think they will all sort of park next to each other. So I said to young Aaron Sharp, I'd give him a hand, and I think that's all it is, just jealousy from Andrew, because I'm actually going to give Aaron a hand. So, yeah, because I haven't got to the bottom of it yet.
Have we got any big names lined up, Travis? Have we got any?
For PSW?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... who we got at the moment? There's some good names. There's obviously Nick and Caleb. I think Curry and Jack McCarthy from the Hardwire team coming over. Obviously Sharpie.
Doyle's coming.
Yeah, okay. I don't think we've seen an expression from Bo. I'm trying to. There's a couple of used house cars. I'm trying to remember. I haven't got the list in front of me, but it's looking good. I think it's just a shame that we sort of lose, you know, Zoe and Caden with racing, you know, the clash with the New Zealand side of things that time of year, which is unfortunate, but you know, it's the way it is. But yeah, look, I think we'll have some really good quality cars there. I think, you know, possibly Troy Jordan might have a yank out, possibly. We'll sort of see how that eventuates.
Yeah,
so.
We did have an interview with Troy a few weeks ago, and he did say he was looking into getting an American down for it. So, yeah, I hope he does. Yeah, it'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, boys, we might leave there. Thanks for joining us tonight, Travis. We hope the series all goes well. We'll get you back on the show later on in a few months just to see how things are going and talk about the series a bit more. And Paul, as always, mate, thanks for joining us again. Love having you on the show. You're a champion. You're a passionate, very passionate man for this sport, and I love that. I reckon it's great, and there should be more people around like you, that's for sure. On next...
I just love midgets.
Yeah, that's it. On next week's show, we've got Bo Doyle. He's going to join us. We'll be able to ask Bo next week, Travis, whether he's coming over for
the good hitting up
W series. So, yeah, we got him on the show next week, and so we'll have a yak to him about his recent trip to America and how things are looking for the season. So, yeah.
Sounds good, boys. Well done. Thank you.
Caleb, best of luck for the season. Best of luck to you too, Travis. And, we'll talk to everyone soon, everyone. Have a good night, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, boys. Awesome to chat. See you guys. See ya.
See ya, mate.